This right here is Midgard. After the opening FMV, you're just dropped into the main menu, where upon picking new game, where you select your class and gender. Oh hi Shadow.
I want you.
The game just loads in, and you're in this empty village. There is only 3 buildings that you can enter. A tavern, if you want to change your class, a weapon shop, and a church, where you go down to the dungeons. And no, I do not have access to the manual, so I can't just look it up. There is barely any info on this on the English speaking web. This game is very obscure. All I know is that it was released in 1998 as a PC exclusive. It was developed by Baroque, no relation, a Japanese studio. And it only saw release in Japan, of course, but South Korea and Taiwan as well. Surprisingly, a lot of games that you may think as Japanese exclusive saw release there. Looking up Midgard 1998 just gives a few results in regards to this game. There's only a few gameplay videos of this on YouTube, not helped by how this game's spurred by so many other things named Midgard. See, the game gets its name from the realm of mankind, from Norse mythology. So, like a lot of Norse stuff, a lot of the results are unrelated black metal. There's also a tabletop game thing named Midgard. All of this to say that on top of how little info this game has on the English speaking web, this game's just borderline impossible to research. So, from what I can tell, this game has nothing to do with Norse mythology. It is all just your standard, typical JRPG medieval fantasy. This game, coming out only on Windows PCs, sticks out because, well, it's a Japanese game, a 3D action title at that, debatably. In 1998, that was PC exclusive. That released a 1998 PC exclusive. At this point in time, until 2010 or so, Japanese PC gaming was in its dark ages, I'd say. Not dead, but rather deeply niche. But rather just very niche. Gone was the heyday of the MSX2, PC98, and the FM towns. At this point, almost every developer had left for home consoles and the arcade as their focus, leaving only a few specific types of releases. The independently produced Dojin software, duty management and simulation titles, localized overseas titles, visual novels, the occasional port of a major console title, and later on in the 2000s, MMOs and other online titles. So of course, there were a few exceptions. Really, I think I honestly might be wrong about this one. This is all just based on the impression I've gotten, so please take this with a grain of salt. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to correct me by writing a whole essay about the history of PC gaming in Japan. I didn't even bring up the Mac. So yes, Midgard was doomed to deep obscurity. From what I can tell, Midgard just appeared in 2020 on certain sites and somehow got an English fan badge later in 2022. Of all games, someone went through the effort of giving this a fan badge. I'm not saying it wasn't worthy of it. I'm just surprised that it exists. So, back to the game. If you can't tell already, this is very much a low budget affair. The reason why this is PC exclusive is, well, the devs couldn't afford a license to a console dev kit, nor even a publisher to properly fund it. Midgard feels like a three-way freak mutation of a Netio Rose project, a Dreamcast title, and a Shockwave 3D game from 2005. I'm playing Bargain Bin Anime Sherwood Dungeon. What the fuck am I even saying at this point? I haven't even touched that game or even thought about it since I was like 9 years old. Visually, I'm very reminded of Dreamcast titles. While the character models have that like cheap 3D anime look you'd see in Nihon Jack of that time. Now, gameplay wise, this is a dungeon crawling action RPG. A rather stripped down one to its basic form at that. Now, I'll admit that I'm not too familiar with JRPGs myself, so the best point of reference I got is imagine a Falcom title mutated with Tomb Raider DNA and stuck in molasses. Foe, not as stiff as say Death Trap Dungeon. Movement is stiff. To call it stiff would be an understatement. This is tank controls by the way of British Mark series tank from World War I, with dirt and sand stuck in the wheels, which is to say, very, very stiff. Turning takes an estimated 3 business days to complete. For strafing, there's only this awkward hop. Quick turning only happens during combat as to swap targets, and it happens automatically from what I can tell. Now, I played this with a keyboard, which I'm accustomed to with these sorts of games. Playing this with a proper controller might be ideal, but I'm not sure. I honestly prefer going with a keyboard for early 3D tank controls over a proper pad, or at least a modern gamepad. Definitely not the PS1 controller before the DualShock. I can feel the hand cramps just thinking about it. Also on keyboard, it doesn't let you remap your keys, but you can with the gamepad. Huh? So I hope you like the ZX layout brought to you by our local Game Boy emulator's default settings. Actually, I wonder why that's such a common key map. Like, it's not just emulators. If a PC game is like keyboard only from like before 2005 and doesn't use Control plus Alt, it uses that. Japanese or Western. So here's the Midgard loop. You kill, you loot, you level up, you die, and go back to the village to resupply from the trader and sell off excess gear. Or change your class at the tavern. You fight the reoccurring Black Knight every 5 floors, rinse and repeat. That's about it. This is 95% of the Midgard experience if we're being generous. On experience, that is a slog to get through. It's not particularly hard or anything, just mind-numbingly repetitive and at times dull. And at times dull. By now, I have shown almost everything there is to this game. It is the same clunky combat in identical looking mazes over and over again for about 10 hours. Now, the dungeons themselves, they have randomly generated layouts. So this isn't a roguelike, or not even a roguelite, as the dungeons just stay the same regardless for your save file. It only generates the levels when you enter them the first time, as shown by this loading screen, or rather creating screen. A masterpiece in digital art. What can I say? All that changes is that every 5 floors we get different wall textures, a few decorations, and the music changes. Some of you might have already drawn comparisons to Diablo. They were definitely not inspired by that. Diablo 1 only got a release in Japan in 1998, the same year as Midgard came out. If anything, I think it's more inspired by the likes of Mystery Dungeon and other JRPGs with heavy roguelike elements. Roguelikes were actually decently popular in Japan at that point. There's only one repeating boss fight for a while. The Black Knight. The knight introduced himself by jump scaring me with his giant health bar. I had to do some grinding until I eventually beat him. And now we got actual narrative. Well, I didn't expect that. Each time you defeat this knight, you get a brief bit of dialogue. He's the guardian of the tower trying to keep the demons sealed. After 4 encounters, after the 15 floors in the dungeons, we get an actually unique boss fight. A dragon! Oh, look at that health bar. It's gonna be a tough one. Well, that was shockingly easy. Wait, what? Wait, baby dragon, what? So I just walk? They superimposed the character models into the FMV. So now we're in the tower. Yeah, it's more of the same, except this time they switched from dark mode to light mode. Why are they floating like, why are they floating, Oh, the music here, it is, mostly really good. On the other hand, a few tracks are ill-fitting for the dungeon crawling experience. For example, the track that plays for the first 5 floors. It's too intense for simple dungeon crawling. I think it would fit better as the boss theme for the knight that plays in every encounter against him. Okay, we need to talk about the translation here. It's riddled with typos and grammar issues. I assumed that this was text right from the original Japanese version, but no, they weren't in English. So this is on the fan translation patch. Some of these might be because of some character limit, but like... Shithead. I was spreading misinformation. Sorry. See, the item names were in fact in English originally, and remain unchanged in the patch. Which... fair. No need to change the text for your translation patch if it's already in English. Even if... Leper. I all this time just remembered the item names being in Japanese until I took a second look. What was actually translated the handful bits of dialogue is fine. I think that's why Midgard even has the English fan badge. There's not much to translate, and the game was probably just easy to hack. Relatively easy, that is. Doing these fan badges, it's hard work. Track of Slime, well, considering how much I can sell it for, I'd imagine it might be really useful against the knight. Oh. A lot of times it's a guesswork as to what some items do at. They barely have a description, if at all. You want to use the love potion? Sure, I guess. Ah, fuck. I unknowingly transed my gender. So, we got 5 classes in this game. Or jobs, I don't know. The fighter, magician, priest, thief, and the monk. I started off with the priest, thinking it was going to be a mixture of spellcasting and close-range combat, allowing me to get a good understanding of the general game feel. And I didn't think I was going to need to change my class. That quickly changed as I ended up finishing off the first night encounter as the monk. And then I just ended up rotating through the 5 classes. See, aside from the magician, everyone else is the same when it comes to magic. The priest instead is the tank that battles around maces and other weaponry. Fighter. I have the fighter just written in all lower caps in the script. I don't know how to describe the fighter other than the fighter. The monk I think is the best class by far in this game. I think the monk is like the best class by far, in that combat didn't feel like absolute molasses. I think the monk ended up being like my most used class by the end. The thief is also the second best for the same reason, with the added benefit of being able to wear armor beyond hard leather. For the thief, his weaponry is limited to just short swords and daggers, while the monk has access to bows and knuckle dusters. I think that's what they're called. The magician ended up being my least played class due to how limited and clunky the spell system is, which just okay, here's the thing. To switch out spells, it requires scrolling through 3 menus. The one that pops up once you press escape, then going to your character menu, and then the spell menu. The only spells I found to be of use were the 2 offensive spells and the healing spell. I have no idea if the barrier and protection spells do anything, and the light spell, which just barely lights up anything. And even then, when the game decides to go dark, it's just bright enough that I don't have any issues being able to see. For some reason, the melee deadly blow, it's also counted as a spell, complete with a training your mana bar. You know what, I'll talk about the combat more, cause oh my. This is absolutely molasses, if you can tell already from the gameplay you're seeing. Unless you're asleep watching this, then in which case...
Your sleep is troubled by nightmares of a beautiful woman whom you murder in a dark place.
It does pair up nicely with the movement, with how clunky it is. And how slow your attacks are, even if you're playing as the monk or thief. Dodging revolves doing the strafe jump constantly. Later on, when it introduces enemies with fireballs, if you're fighting more than one, get ready to be stun locked. Eventually, after 15 floors, you fight the demon. I feel like I've seen this design 5 times before, separately.
Fighting the final boss!
Anyway, that was an easy fight. I may have been like extremely overleveled by now. And that was Midgard. Mid is in the name. As charming I find Midgard for being this quaint little low budget action RPG from Japan that only came out on PC, it honestly isn't good. The whole experience feels like molasses, and it's very repetitive.